a new band of rebels arose who were determined to carry the fight to Jerusalem. The Sicarii. To the Sicarii, anyone who wasn't fighting the Romans was a collaborator and worthy of death.
Many were slain every day, and the fear men were in was worse than the calamity itself.
First and foremost, I want to give all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Give double honor to the elders that rule well and say honor to Shalom to all the brothers out there doing the work in truth and sincerity. All right, brothers here at the Sicarii, I want to take this time to break down Zechariah, the 5th chapter. It's a very powerful chapter. It's a chapter that's disputed upon by, many so-called theologians who come with all type of crazy, bugged out doctrines because of the things written within Zechariah, the 5th chapter. You hear brothers often go into the beginning of Zechariah 5 to have scriptures regarding the UFOs and things of that nature, the chariots of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. But, there's a whole lot of left over here in Zechariah 5 that often does not get spoke about, the rest of Zechariah 5. So what we want to do through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai is go into Zechariah 5 and what it's dealing with, okay? Of course, start at Zechariah 5 and 5. Now you go ahead and get it, tell me.
This is Zechariah chapter 5, verse 5. It says, Then the angel that talked with me went forth and said unto me, Lift up now thine eyes, and see what it is that goeth forth. And I said, What is it? And he said, This is the ephah that goeth forth. And he said, Moreover, this is their resemblance through all the earth.
The angel is showing Zechariah an ephah, okay, which is a measuring instrument that was utilized in the ancient world in our culture, okay? And it said this is a resemblance, meaning the look of something throughout the entire planet Earth. And that word for ephah in the Hebrew is Strong's H374, and it means a receptacle for measuring, okay? So it would measure various different things, all right? Okay, go to Zechariah 7, or 5 and 7, right?
Verse 7, And behold, there was lift up a talent of lead, and this is a woman that sitteth in the midst of the ephah.
That's right. So in the midst of the ephah was a woman, and a talent of lead was placed upon the ephah. Okay, let's take a look at who the woman is. Give me 2nd Ezra 10 and 44.
This is 2nd Ezra chapter 10. Verse 44. It says, The woman whom thou sawest is Zion, and wherever she said unto thee, even she whom thou seest as a city built,
That's right. So the woman that's upon this ephah is the same woman that Ezra saw, which represents the entire nation of Israel. Zion is a other name for that represents the entire nation of Israel. So who was the woman within the ephah with the lead placed on top of the ephah? It was Zion, Israel as a whole, all right? Some people may say that it was some type of a demonic entity or something like that. No, this is talking about Israel. Oftentimes we see it all over the scriptures, whether it's there in 2nd Ezra 10, whether it's in Revelations 12, and countless other places, the scriptures that say Israel is likened unto a comely and delicate woman, the Lord's wife. Israel is usually the woman that's being spoken about when women are being singled out as in an allegorical sense in scripture and prophecy. Okay, one must understand that. Now going ahead to the next verse in Zechariah 5.
Back in Zechariah 5 and 8. And he said, This is wickedness. And he cast it into the midst of the ephah. And he cast a weight of lead upon the mouth thereof.
Okay, so that's a very key verse. Wickedness was cast into the midst of the ephah. You have some people that will say, well, the wickedness the woman represents wickedness. No, the woman was placed in the ephah. Then wickedness was cast into the ephah. Then a lead weight was placed on top of the ephah, entrapping the woman inside of it with wickedness. Okay? Not the woman representing wickedness. Wickedness and the woman were together within the ephah, and the lead was on top, holding it captive. Okay? Now, one of y'all get me you get Matthew 23 and you get Zechariah 1. Okay? Let's prove what we're talking about here. Okay, and we'll see how deep this thing really goes, because a lot of people wrestle with this chapter. Now go ahead. Go read 23 and 32.
Matthew chapter 23 verse 32. It reads, "Fill ye up then the measure of your father."
So Yahushua said, "Fill ye up then the measure of your father." We know an ephah is a measuring instrument. So the woman was placed into the ephah with its wickedness. That's the measure of the fathers. Okay, that Yahushua is talking about. That's the wickedness. All right, Yahushua spoke of this very prophecy. All right, go ahead.
It says, "Ye serpents, ye generation of vipers."
He's talking to the wicked of Israel, and he's saying, "Weigh ye up the measure of your fathers." How do you weigh something in that ephah? So the measure of their fathers was the iniquities that our foreparents have committed, that we had to go into an ephah and get held captive for. Okay, in a metaphysical sense. Now, what that was in on 32?
33. It says, "How can ye escape the damnation of hell?"
How can you escape it? There's a lead weight upon you. That's why you can't escape it. Now skip to verse 35. So we can further, I'm going to show you how deep Yahushua was, and how, through the spirit of power, Yahushua, and how a lot of things that he said is going over a lot of you niggas' heads today, just like it was back when he was on the scene. Go ahead.
Verse 35. "That upon you may come all the righteous, righteous bloodshed upon the earth, from the blood of the righteous Abel unto the blood of Zechariah."
You see that? So this is how you know he's referencing Zechariah, the 5th chapter, because he references how the wicked men of Israel killed Zacharias. So he's saying that the measure of your forefathers is the killing of the prophets, and Zechariah was one of them, and he prophesied about us weighing with the measure of our iniquities, and that lead being put upon us, symbolizing that captivity. Okay, showing you that Yahushua was speaking over these people's heads. He mentions the weight or the measurement of your father's iniquity and the killing of the man who prophesied this same prophecy. You mean to tell me this is a coincidence? Okay, go ahead. That's the rest of that.
"Son of Berechias, whom ye slew between the temple and the altar."
The son of Berechias. Now read Zechariah 1 and 1, so we can prove that. Go ahead.
So Zechariah chapter 1 verse 1.
It's Psalms 38 and 4. Go ahead.
It says, "In the 8th month, in the 2nd year of Darius, came the word of the Lord unto Zechariah, the son of Berechias, the son of Iddo, the prophet, saying."
Exactly. So who is the man who wrote the book of Zechariah, who prophesied that of Zechariah 5 when the angel showed that to him? Zechariah, the son of Berechias, the same man mentioned in the same chapter where the weight or the measurement of our forefathers' iniquities, it was going to be measured upon us, when Yahushua was speaking about. That's not a coincidence. That's proven to you that these Matthew the 23rd chapter and Zechariah the 5th chapter are parallels, and Yahushua was referencing that prophecy. Okay, but again, it went over them niggas' heads then, and it's going over a lot of you niggas' heads now. Okay, Tazama, hold Deuteronomy 28 and 45. Bring that out in Psalms 38 and 4.
Psalms chapter 38 verse 4. "For mine iniquities are gone over my head."
So mine iniquities are gone over my head. That's that lead weight that was put upon us. Our iniquities going over our head. All right, go ahead.
"As an heavy burden, they are too heavy for me."
Exactly, they are too heavy for me. And now when you commit a sin, it's not too heavy for you to commit a sin, but it's too heavy for you to live out the consequences for committing those sins and those transgressions. All right? Because the consequences of that is that captivity that we went through, these captivity that we're going through right now. That is the lead weight that is put upon us. We are the woman in that ephah. Wickedness is what got us here, and that lead weight is that captivity that has us here. Okay? Now bring out Deuteronomy 28 and 45, Baba Kushah.
It's Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 45. It says, "And moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and pursue thee."
That's right.
"And overtake thee till thou be destroyed."
So it's going to overtake us. It's going to weigh us down. Right, Rick?
"Because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy power."
And not hearkening to the voice of Yahweh by Shem Yahushua is what? Wickedness. Read.
"To keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee."
Exactly. So this is all going back to the curses. It said that the curses would weigh us down as that lead weight would. Okay, so it's talking about the same thing. It's talking about us as a nation going into a harsh captivity for our wickedness, the measurement of our wickedness. Okay, we are being punished according to the measurement of our wickedness. But the Lord is still going to pardon us. Now, go back to Zechariah 5 and go to verse 9.
Zechariah chapter 5, verse 9. It says,
Go ahead.
Then lift up mine eyes and looked, and behold, there came out 2 women.
There was 2 women that came out, right, Rick?
And the wind was in their wings.
And the wind was in the wings of these women. Pay close attention, read.
For they had wings like the wings of a stork.
They had wings like the wings of a stork. Keep all of this in mind. Read.
And they lift up the ephod between the earth and the heaven.
That's right. This ain't talking about Tinkerbell, okay? They lift up the ephod between the earth and the heaven. Why was the ephod lifted between the earth and the heaven? So everybody could see the calamity of us who was within the ephod. That's what it means when it say the earth was lifted up. Everywhere you go, they know about what's going on with us. In Japan, they know about the destruction of the so-called black and Hispanic man, and they mock it. And they do it all over the world. The so-called white man has displayed us like we're fucking dinosaurs in a museum to show how they have triumphed over the greatest people on the planet Earth. That's what that's talking about. Okay, that was it on verse 9? Okay, Tazma Hosea 8. Read that in Deuteronomy 28 and 49. Let's prove this. It all go back to the curses. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy 28 and what?
49.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee.
A nation is going to be brought against us. Who? The Israelites. Read.
From far.
From far, right, read.
From the end of the earth.
From the end of the earth. These white people, read.
As swift as the eagle
As
flies.
swift as the eagle flies. Now understand, it said wings like a stork. We'll get into what that is in a minute. But understand that these heathens, especially these so-called white people that came up against us and took us into captivity, are always going to have these wings, right? They came swift as an eagle. They're always being likened unto birds. And there is a very deep meaning to that, which we're going to get into in a second. Right? But go ahead.
Whose tongue, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
That's right. As swift as the eagle flieth. But in this specific instance, it likened them unto a stork. And there's a reason for that. But either way, a nation was going to come with the swiftness of a predatory bird upon our people, which represents the so-called white man. All right. Now give me that in Hosea 8 and 1.
This is Hosea chapter 8, verse 1. It says, set the trumpet to thy mouth. He shall come as an eagle against the house of the Lord.
Who's going to come like an eagle? This so-called white man was to come like an eagle against us. Go ahead.
Because they have transgressed my covenant and trespassed against my law.
So the Lord sent that nation as swift as an eagle, and coincidentally, whose kingdom and empire has always been represented by the eagle against us. Skip to verse 8 in Hosea 8.
Verse 8, Israel is swallowed up. Now shall they be among the Gentiles as a vessel wherein is no pleasure.
As a vessel wherein is no pleasure. Understand, an ephod is a measuring receptacle, which is a vessel. That's that vessel wherein there was no pleasure. That place where we was put in with wickedness, that a lead weight was placed upon it. We can't escape this. We can't escape this vessel, and it's wickedness in that vessel. So there is no pleasure within that vessel when we are amongst the Gentiles. So who are the 2 women that picked us up? They represent Gentile people outside of Israel. Okay, so you can. Oh, go ahead.
Just going into us not being able to escape this thing. I was actually listening to a video earlier about jakes that make around $50,000 to $60,000 is equivalent to a poor cracker family that's right at the poverty line as far as assets and actual wealth. You see what I'm saying? Not actual income, but actual wealth. Because Jake making $50,000, $60,000 is still living paycheck to paycheck. You see what I'm saying? So the more money we make, man, we're still at the level of a poverty-stricken cracker family, man. And it's sick.
Yeah, that's that lead weighing us down. That's our iniquities weighing us down that we can't escape, as it was prophesied all throughout the scriptures, principally in Deuteronomy 28, which we just was going over. What I had you hold, I need
Matthew 24.
Okay, and then ties of my whole Revelations 11. All right, but go ahead. 24 and 28.
Matthew chapter 24, verse 28. For wheresoever their carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together.
Now watch what Yahushua do again. Yahushua, it was a cold brother, man. He was a very cold brother. Notice in Matthew 23, he references Zechariah the 5th chapter, subtly, in their face, and they don't get it. Then in the very next chapter, he does the same thing. He said, where the carcasses are, so will the eagles be gathered. Read that, Revelations 11 and 8.
This is Revelation chapter 11, verse 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt.
So this is the place where our dead bodies are lying, and the eagles are these predatory Gentiles that is coming, these people out, these predatory heathens who is coming, and coming in pecking away at us, man. Okay, they like vultures. Where our dead bodies, they coming and devouring us. Okay, so that's what these two women are. They're heathens. Okay.
Ultimately,
well, yeah, no, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to what they are. I don't want to reveal it quite yet. I want to spoil the surprise. Give me Deuteronomy 28. Go back to Deuteronomy 28 for me, and get verse 37, and then we're gonna go into. Matter of fact, you get verse 37, and then tells them about get Deuteronomy 29 and 22. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 37.
Uh-huh.
And thou shalt become an astonishment,
Uh-huh.
a proverb and a byword
Uh-huh.
among all nations,
Yeah.
whither the Lord shall lead thee.
That's what it means when our carcasses, right? That's what we're gonna be. We're gonna be like dead men walking, right? Go ahead.
Thou shalt plant vineyards and dress them, but shalt neither drink of the wine, nor gather the grapes, for the worm shall eat them.
That's right. We always gonna be devoured. That's these people devouring us, man. One way or another, we're gonna get devoured. Everything we do is gonna get devoured. That was it.
Yeah.
Okay, go to read Deuteronomy 29. Read 22 to 28, and then hold Jeremiah 24. Okay, but go ahead.
It's Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 22. It says, so that the generation to come of your children that shall rise up after you, and the stranger that shall come from a far land, shall say, when they see the plagues of that land, that the sicknesses which the Lord hath laid upon it, and that the whole land thereof is brimstone and salt and burning, and that is not sown, nor beareth, nor any grass groweth therein, like the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah, Amath and Zeboim, which the Lord overthrew in his anger and in his wrath. Verse 24, even all nations shall say, wherefore hath the Lord done this unto this land? What meaneth the heat of this great anger? Then men shall say, because they have forsaken the covenant of the Lord power of their fathers, which he had made with them when he brought them forth out of the land of Egypt. For they had went and served other gods and worshipped them, gods whom they knew not, and whom he had given unto them. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against this land.
That's right. So what it's going into is how the Lord was upset with us and what he did unto us and the punishments that he's given to us as a result of our wickedness, that wickedness that was cast into the midst of the ephod. But the point is coming up. Go ahead.
It says, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against his land to bring upon it all the curses that are written in this book.
Go ahead.
Verse 28, and the Lord rooted them out of their land.
So the Lord rooted us out of our land. That's those two women flying and snatching that ephod up. Now read.
It says, in anger and in wrath and in great indignation, and cast them into another land.
And cast them into another land. Where's that other land? It's over here on this side of the earth, man. Okay, in the Americas. This is the land that we was cast into because of our iniquity and wickedness. So that's what it means when it said that wickedness was put in that ephod with the woman, and the woman had a lead, the jar had a lead weight put upon it that we couldn't escape it, which is the curses of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, and these two women brought us over to another land. Now go ahead. That was it. That was 28. Okay, go ahead as it is this day right now. Now go to Jeremiah 24 and 9.
Jeremiah chapter 24 verse 9. And I will deliver them to be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth for their hurt, to be a reproach and a proverb, a taunt and a curse in all places whither I shall drive them.
So we were brought into another nation to be a curse and a reproach and all of these things. That's our carcasses, and these are the eagles preying upon our carcasses, are the other nations. Okay, so you can understand. All right, this was all prophecy, and this is what Zechariah 5 is saying, but in a nutshell and in an allegorical fashion. It's not talking about no fallen angels or nothing crazy like that. This is merely talking about the heathen taking us, putting us into captivity, and bringing us into another land. Okay?
This is Job chapter 39, verse 26.
Read till verse 30. Go ahead.
It says, doeth the hawk fly by his wisdom, by thy wisdom, Salah, and stretch her wings toward the south.
So there's a hawk fly, right? Now, pay attention. There's a hawk that's being mentioned. Read.
Doeth the eagle mount up at thy command, and make
So
her
now-
nest on high.
So now it's talking about an eagle, right? Go ahead.
From thence she seeketh the prey, and her eye behold a far off.
So we talking about hawks and eagles, birds of prey, right? Read.
Verse
And it's
30.
talking about, hold on now, it's talking about a nest being made, and the eagle watching the prey from afar off. Keep that in mind. Go ahead.
So like I actually skipped one.
All right,
Verse
go ahead.
27. Doeth the eagle mount up at thy command, and make her nest on high. Verse 28. She dwelleth and abideth on the rock, upon the crag.
The crag.
The crag of the rock.
So now they're abiding on rocks. Keep that in mind as well. All this is very key. This whole thing in Job 39, people don't understand the actual the relevance of Job. People think Job is just a story. There are so many jewels and gems in each and every chapter of Job. It is unbelievable. Okay? But understand this. It's talking about an eagle and a hawk. And it's talking about how an eagle searches for its prey and things like that, and where it makes its nest. You must remember all of these things because they are key in understanding this breakdown. Right? Go ahead.
It says, in the strong place. Verse 29. From thence she seeketh the prey, and her eyes behold afar off.
Right, from that far off, she's seeking that prey on that crag, which is that rock. Right, read.
It says, her young ones also suck up blood, and where the slain are, there is he.
So where the slain are, so are the young ones of this eagle sucking up blood. Remember, we are carcasses in the presence of eagles, which represent these heathens eating us up and devouring us. These bloodthirsty, goddamn dirty heathens. Okay? Preying on the black and Hispanic man. Okay? Is that it?
Yeah.
Now we need to understand. So I need you to hold that. Hold Job 39 rather. Now, we have to deal with something. A hawk is known as its scientific name is Asclepio gentilis. Okay? Now Asclepio means to take or seize, and gentilis of course means foreign, heathen, pagan, Gentile. So the scientific original name for a hawk is a seizing Gentile, a seizing heathen. All right? Remember that. Now let's go to the next one. Okay? Birds of prey, like bald eagles, occupy the top of their food chains and are apex predators. So understand something. The hawk, it talks about the hawk and the eagle. The hawk is a seizing Gentile. Meanwhile, an eagle is an apex predator, which is the top of the food chain. Okay? Keep those things in mind. Understand the depth of this prophecy and the allegory that was written. Okay? Now we have to understand something about the stork as well. We heard about the hawk, we heard about the eagle, and these different verses we read, and we also heard about the stork because it said these women would have wings as a stork. Okay, let's keep this in mind. It says storks are known for being migratory baby snatchers. Okay, remember that. Migratory baby snatchers. That's what storks are known for. Okay, so it's likened to a hawk, which is a seizing Gentile, an eagle, which is a top of the food chain, apex predator, yet at the same time a stork, a migratory baby snatcher. Okay? Because the current legend, according to current American folklore, is what storks deliver babies. But the original ancient folklore of storks had to do with them snatching up babies. Okay? Do a little research and you'll find that out. Okay? Keep all of these things in mind. Okay? And many European nations have a symbol of a two-headed eagle. Okay? Now let's go into what that means. Now that we've dealt with why the stork was referenced, and now we're going to deal with the hawk and the eagle. Okay? When you deal with the hawk and the eagle, what it's dealing with is really Esau as a whole. We know Esau as a whole is likened unto an eagle. But the difference between the two is you have the hawk and you have the eagle, which is really the chief of the Edomites, which are the so-called Jews. They're the eagle. They're the apex predator. Matter of fact, read that about them dwelling afar off.
It says,
We got it.
you said what?
Yeah, go ahead.
It This is Job 39, verse 29. From thence she seeketh the prey, and her eyes behold afar off.
From afar off. The so-called Jews set the entire slave trade up. They funded it, but they didn't actually partake in it. Because that's where the hawk comes in. The hawk is the actual seizing Gentile, which are these lower level crackers. Your English, your Dutch, your French, all right, Spanish. They were actually going and seizing us up and taking us. They were the seizing heathens. But the apex predator was the so-called Jew that mapped this whole plot out and financed this whole plot. Okay? Those are things that must be understood in this. That's why it's talking about the two women. All right? Now, again, when you deal with the two birds in most European cultures, it symbolizes two things coming together. The two kingdoms of Esau, Amalek, the so-called Jew, and the rest of the crackers, them coming together and consulting together and having a plan to take us out and enslave us. Okay? But again, that Jew is the apex predator. He wasn't getting his hands dirty, putting us into slavery, but he profited the most off of it and he funded it. Okay?
That's what's going to happen. The master is the so-called Jew. The blaster is America. That's why Israel's doing what they're doing, because they know they connected to the blaster.
Now, what I want to do, read Zechariah 5 and 11. Read it one time real quick.
Zechariah chapter 5, verse 11. And he said unto me, to build it an house in the land of Shinar, and it shall be established.
Now understand something. The woman that was in the ephod was to have a house built for it in Shinar. Read.
It says, and it shall be established and set there upon her own base.
It shall be established in Shinar and set upon its own base. So some people read this and talking about a demonic entity is going to be in Babylon somewhere, and it's going to just be this great big demon. No, that's talking about Israel being brought to America, okay, to be set on its base. Now we know typically base does with a lower thing, but base isn't always in reference to something low. Now I'm going to read the same verse, Zechariah 5 and 11, right here in the New Living Translation, so it's a little more simplified for you. It says, he replied to the land of Babylonia, where they will build a temple for the basket. So a temple is going to be built for what is in the ephod, a temple. Okay, understand that. And it says, and when the temple is ready, they will be set the basket there on its pedestal. When you deal with a pedestal, when you deal with that word for base in the Hebrew, which is translated to pedestal in the New Living Translation, it means a place of rest. Okay. Negative things are not going to get resting places or be exalted and put on pedestals. It's talking about Israel. Okay, it's talking about Israel being brought into America for captivity. But here our temple would be built, which is us, the elect, Lord, when we be at that number. And we are to be exalted from this place. That's what it's really talking about. Okay, we're going to go through and prove it further. Right? That word for base there is H4364, which is Makanah, and it means resting place. Okay, a place of rest is being established for us. Now, Tazama, do me a favor. Give me Revelations 21 and 4. I mean, 21 and 1, rather. Read 1 to 4.
It's Revelation chapter 21, verse 1. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there were no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from the Most High.
So the New Jerusalem is coming down from the Most High out of heaven, meaning the elect is coming down from the Most High God out of heaven. We are indicative of that temple. You understand what I'm saying? That's being built. Meaning the elect is being woken up out of this place. That's what it's referencing. Now go ahead.
Prepared as a bride, adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of the Most High is with men.
The tabernacle is nothing but a temple. Meaning the temple of the Most High is with men. Meaning the men are the temple of the Most High. All right. So what is that? Matter of fact, read me that. Matter of fact, I'm gonna read it. I got it right here. Now Zechariah 11:5, it says, they will build a temple for the basket. The temple being built for the basket is the elect being woken up. That's what it's symbolic of. Right now, keep going in that Revelation.
It says the tabernacle of the Most High is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people. And the Most High himself shall be with them and be their power.
That's right, go ahead.
And the Most High shall wipe away all the tears from their eyes.
Giving us a resting place by wiping away the tears from our eyes, from this harsh bondage wherein we were made to serve. Go ahead.
And there shall be no more death, neither sorrow, nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away.
All the former things have passed away, because we're going to be in our place of rest, our place where we are exalted, our pedestal. Okay, so you can understand. Now I need Mark 14:58. Who gonna get, one of y'all get Mark, and whoever don't get Mark get 1 Corinthians 3:16. Who got Mark?
I got it.
Go ahead. Now this is very powerful what Yahweh Shai say right here. Read.
Mark. This is Mark chapter 14, verse 58. It says, we heard him say, I will destroy this temple.
So Yahweh Shai said, what? I will destroy this temple. Talking about that temple made with hands in Jerusalem. Go ahead.
That is made with hands.
Uh-huh.
And within 3 days, I will build another made without hands.
Within 3 days, he will build another made without hands. Now that went over. Yahweh Shai was dropping so much game and giving these niggas so much jewels. They didn't know what the hell he was talking about. When he said he would destroy this temple, he was talking about that temple made with hands to build a new temple made without hands, which represents us. That is a temple being built in the land of Shinar, in the land of our captivity, where we will be raised up out of. That's what that's talking about in Zechariah 11:5. When it said we'll be put on our pedestal, our resting place. Yeah, 5:11 rather. Yeah, the water. Okay, you see what I'm saying? Give me 1 Corinthians 3:16.
1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 16. It says, know ye not that ye are the temple of the Most High.
Who is the temple of the Most High? We the temple of the Most High. The black, Hispanic, Native American man, we are the temple of the Most High. So we are who is being built up in the land of our captivity in the modern day Shinar or Babylon, the place of great wickedness. Okay? Spiritual harlotry. All right? This is where we are being built up as the elect of the Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. Lord, when we be at that number. Right? Now go ahead.
And that the Spirit of the Most High dwelleth in you.
That's right. The Spirit is dwelling within us, right? Now, give me that in Ephesians 20, Ephesians 2, 20 to 22, and then talking about your Revelation 3 and 12.
Ephesians chapter 2, verse 20. And are built upon the foundation of the apostles and prophets.
That's right, men. Built upon the foundation of men, which is the temple of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. Right, read.
And Yahweh Shai and Mashiach himself being the chief cornerstone.
Yahweh Shai is that cornerstone of that temple in which that is being built. Because the temple is being built all off men that believe on Yahweh Shai as the Savior that the Most High Yahweh sent. His only begotten Son. Read.
In whom all the building fitly framed together.
All that building that's being built in the land of Shinar, in the land of Babylonia, is being fitly framed around Yahweh Shai as men being rooted and built in this truth. Go ahead.
Fitly framed together, groweth unto an holy temple in the Lord.
Growing into a holy temple, meaning we're being built. That's the temple being built, growing into a holy temple. And once that building is complete, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai is going to deliver us out of this place. This place is going to be destroyed. And we're going to be set on our pedestal or our resting place in our land of Jerusalem, of Israel. Okay? And the implementation and the foundation of the kingdom of heaven. Go ahead.
In whom ye also are builded together for an habitation of the Most High through the Spirit.
That's right. You see? So that's clearly what's being talked about. And after we go through all these precepts, we're going to go through it one more time. I just want to make sure y'all get these precepts so y'all know why we're giving the breakdown that we give it. Okay? Because some people, I done heard people read this and tell me some craziness about this, man. Some madness. Okay? You got to deal with this thing through and through. Okay? Now, give me Revelation 3 and 12.
It's Revelation chapter 3, verse 12. Him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of the Most High.
That's right. Power. Him that overcometh. That's how the temple is being built, by him that overcometh what? The wickedness of this goddamn world. The men that are not defiled by virgins, as it says in the book of Revelation, meaning not defiled with the wickedness and the philosophy and the religions of this world. That's who's going to be builded in that temple. Right? Go ahead.
And he shall go no more out, and I will write upon him the name of my power, and the name of the city of my power, which is New Jerusalem, which cometh down out of heaven from my power, and I will write upon him my new name.
That's right, the men.
This is Zechariah chapter 5, verse 5. Then the angel that talked with me went forth and said unto me, lift up now thine eyes, and see what it is, this that goeth forth. And I said, what is it? And he said, this is an ephah that goeth forth.
So an ephah is a measuring receptacle. Remember that, read.
He said, moreover, this is the resemblance throughout all the earth.
So all the earth is going to see this, right, read?
And behold, there was lifted up a talent of lead, and this is a woman that sitteth in the midst of the ephah.
So the woman sitting in the midst of the ephah represents Israel. Go ahead.
So like verse 8, and he said, this is wickedness, and he cast into the midst of the ephah.
So we were sitting in the ephah as a nation. Israel sitting in the ephah. Wickedness, meaning our transgressions and our iniquities, were then cast into the ephah. Right, read.
And he cast a weight of lead upon the mouth thereof.
So lead was cast upon the lid of the ephah, trapping us, symbolizing the captivity that we're going through, for all of our wickedness. Right?
Verse 9, then lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, there came out two women, and the wind was in their wings, for they had wings like the wings of a stork.
They were swift as an eagle, swift as a stork. That was the so-called Jew and the rest of the so-called white man working together, the Jew financing it, being the apex predator, profiting the most from it, but letting the hawk or the capturing heathen, which are the rest of the so-called white people, your English, your Dutch, your French, your Portuguese, and things like that, that actually came and did the dirty work and snatched us up. That's going back to the prophecy of Deuteronomy 28, a nation as swift as an eagle. Okay, go ahead.
And they lift up the ephod between the earth and the heaven.
Yeah, right. And what made them two different entities is the fact that you have one into Judaism and one into Christianity, right? But they collaborated. Judaism made the money off of us the most, but Christianity is what actually enslaved us. Esau that was indoctrinated with so-called Christianity. Now go ahead.
Then said I to the angel that talked with me, whither do these bear the ephod?
Right, so where are they going, right? Let's find out. Go ahead.
And he said unto me, to build it in an house in the land of Shinar.
Right, so we were placed in the land of Shinar in Babylon. Okay, Shinar is another ancient term for the region of Babylon. So this is where we were placed, here in the Americas. But a house is being built for us here in the Americas through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. That house represents the elect men of Israel. Read.
And it shall be established and set there upon her own base.
Exactly, set there upon our resting place, our pedestal. I mean, we're built as a temple. That house is really talking about a temple. Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai is raising the elect to be his temple, and we shall be delivered up out of this place and set back in our own land as an entire nation of holy people, right?
After our judgment.
Yeah, after the lead, the Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai lifts the lead up off of us, frees us from that captivity, going back to Revelations 21:4, when it says that he's going to wipe away our tears. That's taking the lead and the wickedness from us and taking us up out of that ephod and setting us in our resting place. Our resting place is in Jerusalem, man, in the kingdom of heaven. Okay? The temple that's being built is us as a people. All right, now give me, Tazama, go to Hosea 3 and read the whole chapter, because this whole chapter of Hosea 3 is a precept to the whole chapter of Zechariah 5.
Hosea chapter 3 verse 1. Then said the Lord unto me, go yet, love a woman beloved of her friend. Yet an adulteress, according to the love of the Lord, so the children of Israel.
So this is when the Most High is commanding Hosea to go marry that harlot. Read.
Salah, verse.
And it was all symbolic. He told him to go marry that harlot for what? For symbolic purposes. Read.
It says, who look to other gods and love flagons of wine. Verse 2. So I bought her to me of 50 pieces of silver, and of an homer of barley, and of a half homer of barley, and said unto her,
he bought her for what? He bought her for things that you would put in the ephod and measure. Okay, understand the symbolism of these things. Right, go ahead.
It says,
and remember, the Most High said, love her, you know, that she's an adulterous woman, because her adultery is symbolic and indicative of the spiritual adultery and fornication that Israel commits by following other gods and breaking the Most High's laws. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the wickedness that represents the amount of money that he's actually paying for this woman's services. Okay, that the Most High commanded him to do. All symbolic, right? Go ahead.
And I said unto her, thou shalt abide for me many days. Thou shalt not play the harlot, and thou shalt not be for another man. So will I also be for thee. For the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king. Shall abide many
days without a king or a prince. Let's talk about our captivity over here in the Americas. Read.
And without a sacrifice, and without an image, and without an ephod, and without teraphim.
That's right. Notice the ephod is mentioned there. Go ahead.
So like verse 5. Afterwards shall the children of Israel return.
So after our captivity, we shall return and seek the Lord. Well, really, during our captivity, we're returning and seeking the Lord, which starts the foundations and the building of this temple. Right? Go ahead.
It says, and afterwards shall the children of Israel return and seek the Lord their God, and David their king, and shall fear the Lord and his goodness in the latter days.
That's right, in the latter days. So that's the construction of this temple, which is us waking up, come back to the truth, and being fed through the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, to the point where the Most High sets us in our resting place, okay, where we are ruling. You understand what I'm saying? You know, anything anybody want to add? All right, that's good. All right, now with that, Shalom.
Shalom.